We here at Father Michael's Ministry sincerely apologizes for the technical difficulties that we've had to undergo. It's here. It's here. Deep in the heart of America, somewhere in a nondescript parsonage, it's helping a hurting world with Father Michael's Ministries. This is Father Michael's Ministries, and this is what we believe.
I arise today through the strength of Christ's birth with his baptism, through the strength of his crucifixion with his burial, through the strength of his resurrection with his ascension, through the strength of his descent for the judgment of doom. I arise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eye to look before me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to guard me, God's way to lie before me, God's shield to protect me, God's host to save me from snares of devils, from temptations of vices, from everyone who shall wish me ill, afar and near, alone and in multitude. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation.
And now, a timely message from Father Michael.
Well, hello, good people. It's been a bit of a while since I've been here. I'm speaking to you. As before mentioned, we had some technical difficulties, unfortunately. And that's just pretty much sums up what happened. As I said, I do apologize. I apologize also to those who had subscribed. I do apologize to you. As I had said before, it was totally beyond anything I could possibly do. But however, praise God, there are many, many other ministers out there that have many, many good messages and do many, many, good things, for God. And I may just not agree with them, all of them, or some of them, or nor they me. Honestly speaking. Normally, if anyone needs me to reiterate, I normally just start out, this is not about me, this is about you, and go straight into, my sermon, about you. But since this is the new year, and it has been about 3 months since I have, been on the air, that I need to reintroduce myself to some people and tell you what some of my visions are. Many of them are, very, very good things that I would like to do at some point. But like I said, it would have to be some point in the future. As some such things just as food pantries and perhaps if need be more food pantries for persons in small towns and very sparse areas and stuff, that perhaps that, the people could get together and, get a box of food that way, like some of the small little itty bitty towns and hills, mountains of whatever states there are. Cause, sometimes that is something that does happen, that it is so sparse within some of those little places that these people could really use a food box or two and they just don't get it. So you might want, any of that, these little towns and things that you could think of that I'm talking about, make sure that they are getting a food box. And if they're not, if you have it within your powers, if you out there are hearing me, if you have it in your ministry or or whatever your abundance is, try to make that so too. You can't, one thing is, you cannot forget about, some people, and some people are forgotten. But I try to be thoughtful and remember them. Whereas the other people that you would hope in many, many ways that in a bigger, type city, there are indeed, shelters, homeless shelters for people, there are a lot, much more in bigger cities, but of course not everyone will stay at the homeless shelters because they don't allow any, drugs, alcohol, or anything like that, in those places, of course they can't, literally let people do that, or you just might as well have opium houses like they do in Japan or somewhere. Not necessarily Japan, but somewhere in the Orient. I mean, that's just logical. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm being a little blunt, about it, but that's just the way it is. And I hate to say it, but that is another reason too that some people are homeless because they want to be homeless. That they're addicted to the drugs. They want to do their drugs. They want to drink alcohol. They want to do that. And it's not allowed by the homeless shelters, so that's why they do what they do. Because of these addictions. And unfortunately, a lot of people are mentally ill. A lot of people are veterans as well. And yes, I know there are some people that do go out there and they try to have an outreach for people who are homeless and try to get them some help and perhaps get them to go to a detox place, wherever it might be, to detox off of the alcohol and the drugs or whatever it might be they needed to detox of and try to get a fair shake in life. Sometimes, some of those people that go out and, that do that, and people that can get detoxed off of whatever drugs, alcohol, or whatever it is, they're on, whatever the substance may be, that, through that and through that hospital, and then after that, perhaps maybe something like a halfway house or something like, a type of a place that they could get a person that was perhaps disabled, that they could get them, if they don't have it, get them some kind of an ID card. That way, they can get them, some type of a HUD apartment. I'm talking about the United States, of course. I wouldn't know in another country about that. But yes, that's a government apartment. They could give, a person a government apartment and some food stamps, so they have, some food to eat and a place to live, and they could, live like that and live good and be free of their drugs and alcohol, have a nice place have a place to where it's warm in the wintertime and it's cool in the summertime. Have a place to where it's around other people, to where, if something, criminal activity goes on of some kind against you, somebody else is going to hear it. And they do have emergency call bells in those a lot of those HUD apartments that they have, or they have that, they can, all I gotta do is pull a cord, and there's a bell on the outside. It'll go off, and and it alerts everybody, and everybody gets out and looks, and they'll see what's going on. So I mean, there's safety in numbers, yes, of course. But that's one good aspect of what people try to do to get people off the streets, get people in a program that could help them, which there are many, many, many programs out there that can help people get off drugs or get off alcohol. Now I'm not talking about prescription medication that is prescribed by your physician. Okay, a physician, your physician. And of course, taken as directed. But no, I'm talking about street drugs. I'm talking about the street drugs that a lot of, the homeless people, they get into. But also just said, hey, this on the bright side, this can happen and does happen to people. That they get off the streets. They get them a HUD apartment. They get them food stamps. They can probably get them a SSI check, and they usually do. They can get it's a welfare check. They get them a little welfare check, kind of get them by for the month. Just kind of tie them by. Get a food box, get that, and, just to, help, that person, just helping themselves out, saying, taking care of themselves, eating, and having a place to shower and to shave and to go to, actually be able to have a toilet. Now, I know a lot of you may say that's silly and ridiculous, me saying that, but think about it. If you're on the street, just exactly where are the toilets? That would probably in some kind of a bucket in your tent that you would go out into the street and dump it every now and then. That's about where that's where the toilet is, and that's where the sewer is, where they dumped it. So yeah, that's it gets pretty nasty around those places. I've never seen them personally. I have to say, I've never seen them personally. Seen them on YouTube, though. So if you want to see what they look like, look on YouTube, the homelessness and people, under little cities under these bridges and stuff in Southern California too. It's that's where I'm getting a lot of my information from how people live, as far as that's concerned. But other than that, I mean, I have personally in my lifetime, on a temporary, job, that there was a guy that I was talking with, and I noticed he was rolling his own cigarettes. And I noticed he could roll those pretty good. Because that's kind of a lost art with cigarette rolling. I mean, that most people that do smoke, just buy them at the store already rolled. But it's usually just very, very old people you see rolling, tobacco cigarettes, And I said, well, you do roll pretty good, and everything. We got to talking, and it got down to pretty much, he said, well, the reason, that, I'm, staying at the Salvation Army now is beforehand, I wanted to just, stay on the streets and do drugs. That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I did. That's what he said. So, I mean, it's just not me seeing YouTube. It's having firsthand experience from people saying, hey, yes, this is what I did. That's the reason I wanted to do it. That's exactly what this gentleman told me. But let's look into this, some other aspects of a lot of different types of things that I also want to do.